topic of the hour. The 2024 race for the White House is heating up, but President Biden's re-election odds are not looking very hot. New polling shows former President Trump is leading President Biden in two key battleground states. That's Georgia and Michigan. In Georgia, Trump is ahead by 5 points. That's 49-44. And in Michigan, Trump is up by 10 points, leading Biden 50-40. We're with Tomi Lahren this morning. Tomi, your reaction?
My reaction is, I know it sounds like great news for conservatives and Republicans, and I don't want to be the person that rains on the optimism and the happiness here heading into the holiday season. But I will say this. I caution my fellow Republicans and conservatives from getting too excited about this. I know that Joe Biden is incredibly unpopular, and that remains a fact. I don't think he's going to be the Democrat nominee. So there's one contingency I would put on that. And two, I think we're forgetting that in these polls also indicate that if Donald Trump is convicted on and one of the charges, the number of people that were willing to vote for him dropped significantly. So I know that it seems like an exciting time and we want to be super confident, but I would just warn not to get overconfident or not to get, overly excited about these polls, because they could certainly change with the number of things that are coming Donald Trump's way in a matter of months with all of these trials he's going to be facing.
And do you think he's leading largely because of his successful term, his policies, or because people see all of these investigations as shams?
I think Republicans see these investigations as shams. I think the American people see the economy as a sham, and that's why they're noticing that Donald Trump had a fantastic economy, and they're willing to put aside how they feel about his personality. However, when you're facing a conviction and you're looking at your possible nominee or your president potentially being behind bars, I think that that's going to worry a lot of moderate independent voters. So that is my concern. And so I just caution people from getting too excited. We still have to keep our nose to the grindstone and pay attention. Again, I say I don't think Biden's going to be the nominee. That's going to shake things up a lot if I happen to be correct on that point.
Who do you think will be the nominee, Tomi?
Well, I've been saying for months, I think it's going to be Gavin Newsom. Now, I think there was a slight setback because of that atrocious debate he had with Ron DeSantis, but I still maintain that Gavin Newsom, perhaps Michelle Obama, I do believe that they have somebody waiting in the wings, that they're getting ready. So just wait and see. It's going to be a wild one. I expect fireworks.
And they'll do that probably at the convention, right? Or sooner?
I think that's going to have to be the place, yes.
Yeah, the convention. Todd, what about this? Democrats have been quietly backing away from Bidenomics messaging. They're talking about messaging. House Republicans, meanwhile, are out with a new ad called RIP Bidenomics. Watch this.
In the arms of the angel, you are pulled from the wreckage.
Oh, boy. Todd, it's going to be some year ahead. Your reaction?
And unlike those sad, sad puppies in the Sarah McLachlan commercials, I don't think there are a lot of people who want to help Joe Biden resuscitate this economy, because people are focused on resuscitating their own bank accounts. They also know Joe Biden is not going to be able to do anything because he has ratcheted up inflation in a way that he, his Fed, anybody in his administration at this point can't control. It's out of control, and you're going to need a new president, whether it's Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, somebody to stop this. And to Tomi's point, I think it's always important. You always hear Tomi reminding the Republican voter, do not snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. As a party, Republicans have a propensity for doing that. Look at the last couple elections. They need to be mindful of the fact that Joe Biden and his economy, because it's always the economy, stupid, is putting this on a silver platter for Republicans to win not only the presidency, but the Senate, and to potentially even keep the House. Yeah. They need to recognize that and not do anything stupid to screw it up at this point. So it's always important that Tomi gives those warnings.
Cheryl.
Well, okay, first off, I just want to say, Sarah McLachlan, that ad for ASPCA, they raised $1 million in a day. I don't think the same is going to work out for this. But, kudos to them for making an effort to RIP to Bidenomics. But, there was a Fox News poll, Maria, just last month that actually showed us that, the economy was the biggest problem for Joe Biden. Why they keep trying to hang on to Bidenomics, I don't know. 29% were the only ones that said that the worst was over for the economy, which is is a little bit of improvement, but 67% said that the economy has not yet turned a corner, and it's probably going to get worse based on the market guess that we've had on today and yesterday, Maria.
Yeah.
So, Bidenomics is not a winning strategy. Obviously, they're trying to move away from it, or according to that ad, let's just put it in a casket and bury it.
Rebecca.
I agree with Tommy, Todd, and Sean, and pick up on all of them. Tommy's right. We should absolutely be cautious not to get overly optimistic if you're on the conservative side. As a tax lawyer, I naturally fall on the conservative side of how can we build wealth in this country and save money, called the American dream. So I believe in that. But I also want to say that I think that there's a disruption underlying that's happening in the Democratic Party that is happening with a lot of their constituencies that I believe they've taken for granted for a very long time. We see the same thing come out every 4 years where they roll out and say, we're going to be fighting for you. We're going to be your champion. And a lot of these groups, Maria, are doing all kinds of, it's really social media right now. They're doing TikToks. They're creating videos. They're creating music videos about President Trump and all these indictments, thinking that this is a banana republic and that he's under attack. And I think a lot of these groups might be moving away from the Democratic Party. So I would caution the Democratic Party that they might have to really worry about some of their constituency bases this year and this election that they have not had to really worry about before in the past.
All right, 320 plus days until November 5th. Tommy, final word from you. By the way, I also agree. I said it a long time ago that I didn't think there was a shot in hell that Joe Biden would be the nominee. But that was largely just because of his mental capacity, Tommy.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I also think let's watch and see how this latest Hunter Biden indictment shakes out. If the Democrats jump on board with that, if they're willing to discuss it, that's also another reason, another flag that I would say that they're getting ready to dump Joe as their nominee. So wait and watch. The Democrat Party's got some reshuffling to do.
Tommy, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much. We appreciate your time. The hour. The House is expected to vote tomorrow to formalize the Biden impeachment inquiry. Ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Jamie Raskin, speaking with some House Republicans behind closed doors yesterday, trying to persuade them to drop the impeachment effort altogether. Lawmakers have been divided on the Biden impeachment inquiry. Politico is now reporting that Republicans are chipping away at resistant centrists. About half a dozen members are still undecided, but there's only one public no vote in Politico's whip count. That would be Ken Buck. Meanwhile, the White House says President Biden is not focused on what it's calling conspiracy theories. Watch this.
Any comment on things moving forward with a potential impeachment inquiry of the president? And also, does the White House believe that the president's son Hunter should testify this week?
I'm not going to weigh in on that process, except to say that President Biden is laser focused on the issues that matter most to American families. He's focused on what matters to American families, not Marjorie Taylor Greene's conspiracy theories about his own family.
Todd Pyre, I got to tell you, I think Americans are worried about corruption, especially when corruption is in plain sight. What do you make of that response?
If this is laser focused, I shudder to think what just regular focus is from Biden.
Yeah.
But to the nuts and bolts of this, Jamie Raskin's argument is clearly that House Republicans, James Comer and the like, have not tied the money to the bad act. The fact of the matter is, Maria, Democrats in the House and throughout Congress and throughout D.C., throughout the deep state, are preventing Republicans from getting that information through the normal means that you do, subpoena and the like. Secondarily, ask yourself the 30,000-foot question. How did a public servant like Joe Biden make all this money, have all that he has? And then if you answer that question, it's from foreign sources, then what did he do to make that money? These are the underlying questions. And as much as Jamie Raskin is trying to tamp this down on the Republicans and sow doubt in the minds of some Republicans by saying impeachment's bad for the country and so on and so forth, the fact of the matter is there are genuine questions here that need to be answered.
Yeah, not only that, but, we've seen so much evidence already. We've seen bank records, we've got witness testimony, we've got emails, and yet the Washington Post, of course, is holding the water for the Democrats. They're out with this op-ed attacking Chairman Comer, Jordan, and Smith. The Washington Post refers to these three chairmen as the Three Stooges, Larry, Curly, and Moe. Meet the Biden impeachment managers, Larry, Moe, and Curly, writes Dana Milback on this op-ed in the Washington Post. Meanwhile, the National Archives says that it will provide Comer with nearly 1,800 emails as the House moves forward with this investigation. I mean, look, all the emails that we've seen so far, Todd, have been pretty damning.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a good sign for Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the lot that these emails are going to be released. But it just underscores litigation and a congressional investigation. To our point from earlier, this is a slow process. It is designed to be slow so that people can have time to do due diligence. And so, yes, on day one, did James Comer or Larry Moe Curly, as Dana Milbank likes to refer to them, have every document? No, it takes time. Democrats have obviously stood in the way of all these documents. Everything that's coming out drip by drip by drip is telling, and you're seeing this panic continuously in the mainstream media. Dana Milbank is just the latest one.
Well, one of the most damning documents, I think, Cheryl, is that email or that memo, rather, from a bank manager who is a money laundering expert. And he raises serious issues with Hunter Biden's account, saying that there's unusual, erratic activity among several accounts. There was no business rendered, and yet they got a $5 million payment from China. Later, the Biden said that was a loan. Comer said a loan from China. And there was no services rendered at all, but they kept making all this money.
Yeah, you're talking about the 20 LLCs. I mean, a lot of this goes back to tax evasion 101. This is how you launder and hide profits, and this is exactly what it appears that they were doing. And look, the Washington Post can come out and attack, James Comer all they want, but look, if he's got the goods, he's going to bring the goods to the table, he's going to put it out into a public forum, then the White House is going to have to acknowledge, and Jamie Raskin's going to have to acknowledge, that there was some impropriety that were done here, whether it was from Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, a.k.a. the big guy. The other thing, Maria, we talked about, remember, yesterday was these IRS whistleblowers. I mean, if you read word for word the testimony from them, it is amazing that they say that they never in their careers, in all of their years of investigating tax fraud and looking for tax cheats, they had never seen the type of special treatment that was given to Hunter Biden in regards to all of that. Well, where was that coming from? Was that coming from Vice President Biden? And by the way, why do you have so many alias emails? I mean, there's just so many questions here. But again, look, Comer, Jordan, they've got to come up with the goods. If they've got it, great, off we go.
Yeah,
but they're working on it. So,
Rebecca, I'm glad Cheryl mentioned the big guy, because that was another damning email. The email when they were putting together their partnership with CEFC, the Chinese oil company, and they listed everybody's take there. Hunter was getting 20%. And at the end of it, it says 10% held by H for the big guy. I mean, that is a damning email. We all know who the big guy is, President Biden.
You had Bubba Lusky tell Tucker Carlson, Fox News at the time, that it was 10% for Joe Biden. I mean, it was very explicitly clear. And, Maria, let's just call a spade, okay? Alias emails, documents. Why in the world is Hunter Biden worth $5 million for no services rendered? And why? What are they paying him for? Ukraine, China, Romania. What is going on? I mean, for the Democrats to come out, for the Washington Post to come out and act like, no, there's nothing to see here. I mean, enough. I mean, American people are actually smart. And I think that finally they're saying this is idiotic that the Washington Post is going to tell us that these people are just making this up when you have the President Trump indicted for a phone call.
Yeah. It's so clear that the Washington Post is so political. It's hard to believe anything they say anyway. We're just getting started this hour. Quick break, and markets are on